Hello, Consumer Math. Welcome to your next week of Consumer. We are actually going to be looking at a project today. I'm going to introduce it through this video. We'll go over everything you need to know. We're going to go over the instructions. We're going to go over the rubric. So you're ready to go. Make sure you watch this. If you don't watch this, you're neglecting something really important in a grade that will make a big difference in your overall grade. So first of all, looking at the instructions, you can print these off. You have a worksheet, you have a tracker, and you have a rubric. It seems like a lot, and it is going to account for several days of homework. We'll get to that in a little bit, okay? So don't be overwhelmed. You don't have to do this all in one day. You don't even have to do it all in 1 week, okay? We're getting near to the end, so this is a big project. So first of all, what is the project? So the project is this. I introduced the project, and I would hold these up, but I think they go backwards if I do that. It says you and your friends want to go on a road trip. Someone needs to figure out the details and how much it'll cost each person. You volunteer to figure it out. Now, I want to preface this project with this. This project is extremely practical. You may use it for a vacation, but you may also use it for ministry type things. You guys are just about adults, and maybe someday you'll be a youth group leader, or you'll be in charge of some sort of trip, or at least have your hand in planning a trip. And you can use these skills to help you, and use previous math skills to help you in this project, okay? So it is important. It's not just for selfish reasons, not that there's anything wrong with taking a vacation, but do know that you can use this for other things as well, like a missions trip, and helping create information on that. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to pick a destination. You are going to use this worksheet to calculate the distance, number of days, total cost for gas on your trip. So this is the road trip worksheet. Now, did you really need a worksheet? Maybe not, but I created one to guide you through everything you need to come up with. So it'll say, where are you going? How far is it? What vehicle are you taking? How many miles miles per gallon does it make, okay? And you can look that up. There'll be general averages for your vehicle, or you may know it specifically. Then you will figure out how much gas is going to cost you based on how many miles per gallon it makes, and you're also going to factor in the fact that it's a two-way trip. Okay, and it has to be a road trip. It cannot be flying. All right, so that's the first part of it. All right, you're going to calculate the gas side of things, distance, and you'll also talk about time on that worksheet, and it guides you through everything. So that's why we set it up there. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to create an itinerary. This is a plan for each day. You're going to decide what you're going to see, what you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep, and how far you're going to drive. Okay, so you're going to make sure it flows logically. And I would recommend, sometimes it can be overwhelming, start with the small things, or the big things, excuse me. Start with the big things and then fill in with the small things, okay? So I would figure out how far are we going to drive every day? Where does that put us? So if we drive 10 hours the first day, where would be a good place to stop? And so picking all of the big things first, and then, oh, in that town, there's this really cool, and then fill in with those things, okay? So don't get overwhelmed. Start with the small things. You are going to calculate total cost. Part of your grade is turning in a cost tracker or some sort of record of how much everything costs, okay? So I've created one. You do not have to use mine, okay? All you need to do is record everything that you're going to have to pay for. So you're going to say the hotel room in such and such a place costs this much, and the food at this place costs this much. Now, I want you to be paying attention. Are these costs shared costs, or are they individual costs? Like a hotel room or an Airbnb, that would be a shared cost, right? You would divide it by the number of people. Same thing with the gas, right? That's a shared cost. If the gas for the trip costs $400, we're going to divide it by however many people are on the trip. So that's what you're going to take into account. So the things that would be individual costs is if we're eating out, so if we're getting pizza, again, that could be a shared cost. But if we're doing like individual meals, then that's going to be an individual cost. And so you're going to track all of that. Again, if you want to just do this on your computer, like in an Excel document, or on paper, just on a notebook paper, that's fine too. But you're going to track everything. Otherwise, I have no way to know. You could have just came up with a random number at the end, okay? And this is really helpful if you are actually planning a trip and they say, we need to cut costs somehow. Well, you can just pull out your tracker and say, oh, this hotel on this night is costing a lot. Let's try to cut money there. Or maybe we have some extra money. Where should we spend it? That kind of thing. All right, so you do need to be keeping track of that on that tracker. And that's a big part of the project. You will then calculate total cost. How much is it going to cost to go on this trip? So you'll add up all the shared costs, okay? And so this trip is going to cost $2,800. Oh, let's make easier math. Let's say it costs $2,000. This trip costs $2,000. And we have 5 people in the vehicle. So we could find the individual cost, or the cost per person, by doing 2,000 divided by 5. And what would we get? We would get $400, right? So it's $400 per person to go on this trip. And then you could, after you're finished with that, you could let everyone know, right, how much it's going to cost based on this itinerary. So the 5th part of your project is to create something shareable. So let's say this is real life and you've done all the research, you've come up with an itinerary, you found the cost per person. I want you to create something shareable. So that could be a PowerPoint, that could be a video, that could be a graphic, whatever you want it to be. Make it interesting, okay? Don't just type it straight into a Word document. I use Canva for these graphics, okay? Like Canvas without the S. There's lots of other ways you can do it. This doesn't have to be a design project, but create something interesting. Okay, you can use PowerPoint if you want to, that you could share. So let's say you are the youth group leader and you need something that you could send out to parents, something you could send home with people in the youth group, or maybe it's just something like a road trip for your friends and you can share it with them. In this, there should be 4 things. It should have your distance, your destination, your vehicle, your length of trip. You should have your itinerary, okay, where you're going to go each day. Again, you do not have to do a minute-by-minute itinerary. Just needs to have the high points, where you're going to eat, where you're going to stay, what are you going to do. And then total cost, and then cost per person, okay? So then you're going to submit it to me. Now, notice there, you're going to submit your project. So whatever you chose to make it shareable, if that's a PowerPoint or if that's a graphic or whatever it is, you're going to submit that project. You're going to submit the gas worksheet, so take a picture of that. Or if you want to type straight into the document and then just resave it and send it to me. And then your cost tracker. Again, you can type straight into that document that you got, or you can do it on pen and paper and take a picture and send it to me. All right. That's the project. Let's look at the rubric, because if you have a rubric, you should be able to know before you hand it in what your grade will be. That's really powerful. Okay, so let's use it. This project is worth 40 points. It's significant. So let's talk about how that should look. So first of all, you have that road trip worksheet. It guides you through it. It's very simple and it's worth 10 points. Okay. The next thing is the cost tracker. This is where you're going to track everything. Again, you need to identify it as a shared or an individual cost. And you can find it as both. So let's say you're going out for pizza and the pizza costs $40. That would be a lot for pizza, but the pizza costs $40 as a shared cost. But there are 5 of you along on the trip, so an individual cost would be 8, okay? And you can run both of those columns and then total them both at the end. And if you have questions, let me know. Remember, I have that Zoom office hour every day that you can come into Zoom and work one-on-one with me. So don't think that you have to do this project all by yourself or struggle through it. I am more than happy to help you with it, but you have to ask for it. You have to come in and get help during that either virtual office hour, or if you want to set up a different time, that's fine. But I can't help you if you don't let me know you need it. Make sure your cost tracker has everything. It itemizes everything. You'll lose points if you're missing things, okay? The next part is within your shareable portion. It was shaded gray. Maybe yours is. That bottom half is all in that little, whatever you create, PowerPoint or graphic. Make sure that it has everything about the destination, that has what the destination is, the distance, the vehicle, the length of days, and the total cost of fuel. Then also in that PowerPoint or whatever you create, it needs to have the itinerary, okay? Make sure it has lodging and distance and time spent traveling each day, and then restaurants and activities, okay? And if you like PowerPoint, you can just do a slide for each day. If you want to create a graphic, that's fine. If you really want to use Word to create it, I'm not against that, but make it interesting, okay? The third part is to make sure you have the cost and the cost per person. That's really important, right? That's what we want to know when we're going on a trip, or if we have other people that we're talking to about the trip, they need to know if they can afford it, right? So being able to share that with them. The last thing you get points on is quality of work. So making sure that you're presenting the information, whether in a PowerPoint or graphic, that it's clear, creative, inviting, include color. Okay, this is not something you have to print off. Make it interesting, please. Yeah, again, this is not a design class, but make it something that is inviting. So that is the project. If you have questions, you need to let me know, whether during Zoom or email. You have until next Tuesday, so that is May 5th, to complete this assignment, okay? It is due that day. So you have 5 days this week, 2 days next week, for a total of 7 school days to complete this assignment. I think that's more than enough time, and it needs to reflect that quality of work. There are no redos or corrections on this assignment, okay? So if you present something that is low quality, you will receive a low grade, okay? So I know that goes without saying, but I think some of you think that if you do it, you get credit for it. It needs to be at the caliber laid out in the rubric, okay? So make sure it matches that. And like I said, you should know by looking at the rubric, if you have everything in that excellent column, you can know your grade is a 40 out of 40. If it's not matching all of those, then you need to fix it, okay? So have a good day. I will see you guys after a bit. Remember, ask questions if you have them.